Okay, so first of all, you want to make sure you don't have any hot spots in your coils, so they want to warm up from the inside out on both sides. And you want to make sure your coils are kind of even with the top of those posts. And excuse my coils because this is just a spare set that I threw on here that I could have cleaned them up a little bit, but I was trying to hurry. But the problem with this tank is this airflow right here is round, and if they had made it where it was like this and flat, then you could have had more room where you wick. But they didn't do that, and I know they did it for airflow, but that's what makes it leak, is your wick gets caught on this edge right here, and then your juice just flows down the wick into the bottom of your tank, into your airflow. But let's make sure. They don't have to be perfect, but they need to be high so the wick can have enough room to flow over the airflow. And I'm going to put this on the side. Hopefully we'll be able to see. Let's see. Yeah, okay. And I'm sorry if this gets blurry, but I don't have a very good camera for this at the moment. So a lot of people use cotton bacon and fancy cottons. I just use this cheap cotton from Amazon, and what you want to do is make it 1.5 times the length or the width of your coil. So measure this. Try to get them kind of the same, but nothing has to be exact. I found the main thing is to keep that airflow hole in mind and try to work around it so you don't get your wick on it. So I'm gonna put these on real quick and move to a second video. But as you can see, it's about 1.5. That one's actually a little big, but almost 1.5, a little bigger. Alright, so what I do is I don't count the twisted end as part of the length because I'm going to cut that off. So I just get it even on both sides. Alright, that's pretty even. So cut those off. And this little crease right here doesn't matter. I don't know how much experience you have wicking, but all of that is just gonna fade. But alright, so also make sure, see how that side's twisted, try to get it parallel with the bottom. So this one, the trick with the actual wicking is you want to go to the top of that airflow inlet right there. So see if I can do this. Alright. And excuse the mess in my house. Some people live here, sorry. So that one pretty much perfect. And this one, that one's good too. This one is a little long, so I'll trim that one. Or actually, I'll pull this. Pull this one over. So that was just a coincidence. It hardly ever works out where they're perfect like that. And then I use, this is a mandrel for coiling. You can also use like a little screwdriver or bit or whatever. And I'm gonna try to loosen up the ends a little bit. They don't have to be perfect because it's going to get crammed down in there. Now, this is the hard part with a camera. So if they had made the airflow a little narrower or squared off, you'd have more room. But instead, let's see if I can set this down again. I don't know if you can see this, so I may have to do this again. But pull it from the bottom and then just start packing. And then I'll go back to that side. Pull from the bottom, tack it in there. So I'm gonna I don't know how much of that you could actually see. I'll have to go back and look. But the trick here is to make sure that every little piece of that has cotton in it, and then I'll show you a trick to help the wicking a little bit. So I'm gonna stop this here and check and see if you could actually see that before I do the other side. The other side, because I feel like you could see pretty well. So I'm going to try this angle again. So if you can see this cotton is drooped over the hole. I'll bring it up a little bit. It's drooped over the hole because you packed it in so tight. So what you need to do is just kind of push that out. And you can adjust it once when you prime it, because it'll be a little stickier. But as you can see, you have to have a pretty big arch in there because that is so curved around, and this coil is not very straight. If this coil was more in the middle, it'd be easier. So I'm going to check that and make sure you can see that. Sorry, it's going to be like 20 videos here. Okay, so I told you I was going to show you a trick to help wicking. So the way this is sticking out is going to cause air bubbles to form underneath the cotton around this ring. So what you do is you get something like this mandrel, and you kind of roll it in there and push it in. And the goal is to get it like this, where none of it is sticking out. And I've seen a lot of tutorials for this thing and no one's ever mentioned this, but I noticed I was getting dry hits after packing so much cotton in there, and that's one of the tricks. I never get dry hits with it like this. So I'm going to put this back in and I'm going to prime it. But you also want to make sure this build deck is real tight in there. Otherwise it'll leak. Move that because I think it is focusing on it. This is some of my favorite juice from local shop, and I always start on the bottom. And then most RTAs I prime on the coil, but this one I do not, because I don't know if it always seems to leak when I do that. So and the reason I start on the bottom is to get a wet layer in there, so there's not a dry spot on the on the bottom. It seems to like maybe get air or something. I'm not sure, but it also helps lube the glass a little bit, so it doesn't hurt. Get that good and wet. Alright. So this cotton expanded back over your air hole. So I just kind of, and it's already leaking. You're gonna get some. You're gonna get a few drops in there, unfortunately. But try to get as much away from that air hole as you can. And I didn't give you enough room. That's the, other than some O-ring issues, the issue with this tank is the airflow. So I don't know if you can see that, but I got it off of the airflow, both sides. I'll pick it up. So it's still touching a little bit. It may drip a little bit, but that's just, that airflow is too big and curved. But that's it. If you, better put my lid back on. It's also, sorry, I'm mumbling. You have to be careful with this cap because sometimes it'll push your cotton back into that gap, but it looks like it's okay. Hopefully it reads. Yeah. Alright. So, I'm gonna just put this together real quick and show you how full I do it the first time. So the first time I fill it, I actually got a little more than I prefer, but for some reason this tank doesn't like to pressurize at first, and I believe it's because of this top O-ring. I think this is like one of the first ones they made of this tank. It's old, but keep your airflow down here closed when you fill it, and I prefer to fill it just below where those notches are, and then open it up all the way and do dry hits. So let's see. So the 2-4. Normally I do these around 75, 70. Alright. So I haven't used this tank since I got my hive, but it still hits pretty good. I don't know if you can see in there, but let's bring it up. It's not leaking, and if it starts leaking, if it's just sitting, you know, you may want to turn the wattage up a little bit, or you know, just do some dry hits, or do like this where you just kind of blow through it. But yeah, that's it. Still a good tank. It's just a pain in the butt to wick. But like I said, I haven't used it in about a year, so. No dry hits. It was solid. Just take some practice getting that thing right, and there's you a couple some 20 minutes worth of video. But good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.